Welcome. I'm Captain Rinn Star. I'm back on YouTube after a small break. Everyone's been telling me to hop back on YouTube. They've all been asking me, where's your video? Well, I'm back. And it does feel good to be back on YouTube, especially with this comeback video based on one of my most favorite mangas that I'm currently reading. And y'all know what it is, Undead Unluck. I'm caught up with the manga. I read it weekly. I'm a big fan of the manga and an active member in the Discord server. Volume 3 is where the story of Undead Unluck really kicks off. This is where we get more information about the Union and how they work based on the UMAs. And all of a sudden, now we're getting more information on God, who is the main villain of the story. We get more chapters of Victor and beginning to give us little hints here and there based on his situation with Andy. In this volume, we are first introduced to the concept of Ragnarok, which is basically when the world ends and God destroys the world and then enters into a loop. The Union is making sure that doesn't happen by completing all the quests given by Apocalypse, a book that can actually talk and has like a weird face. But he's actually pretty cool. And, he has a long tongue with sharp teeth. And the Union also makes sure that the stone tablet's last mark is not being fulfilled. Volume 3 puts a focus on the Unrepair Arc, which is my second most favorite arc in the series, with a conclusion of the Spoil Arc itself. The second half of the Spoil Arc is the fight where it's between the Union and Victor, who's claiming that he's the original undead. How could this be possible? That's like a big mystery that this manga has on how there's two undeads. From what it seems in this volume, Victor is a bad guy who wants to kill Fuko just so he can see Andy suffer from pain. And with that, Andy would not want to be control anymore of the body. From there, it seems that Victor is going to be the one in charge. So it seems that Victor and Andy are two completely different people, yet they share the same body, which is kind of trippy and weird. This later on will be explained somewhat in the autumn arc, but there's gonna be plot holes here and there. But now Fuko wants Andy to come back, and she wants Andy to be in charge, making Victor not be dominant again. She's determined to get Andy back, which leads her to hopelessly plead for him, and it does work. She casts her Unluck, and then there comes a big flood and stuff. It's really cool. This leads into both of them sharing their first kiss. And when I read this scene told me that the romance in this manga is going to be solid. There's mangas where the romance is so forced and the connection isn't really there. The romance is only there to make the fans happy. I don't like that personally, but for other people, it's it's amazing. But in Undead Unluck, all of the romances that just happen just feels so natural. It feels like ice cream. It feels so well like ice cream coming out of an ice cream machine. And you're just amazing. Moving on to the Unrepair arc. This is where we're introduced to two Negators, Unmove and Unrepair himself. Unrepair is actually a fan favorite. So it goes that by completing one of the quests, the reward is that the Union can have a new member to join the team. Dries, being the leader, decides that they can have Unburn, who barely comes in way later into the story. I'm telling you, he only has a cameo, and that's pretty much it. Or they can have Unrepair. Dries decides that she can rather find Unrepair, as they already have UMA Burn captured. This is where the story gets really cool, because in their world, there's no such thing as a galaxy. Earth is just a planet in a black void. There's no space, which ties back to when Fuko was painting with Gina, who died. But Fuko drew stars in the sky, leaving Gina shocked, since in their world, the night sky doesn't have stars yet. Because some of other Union members failing at completing one of the quests, their punishment is that another UMA is born, UMA Galaxy. Because of this, now they have a whole complete solar system and a galaxy. Now the humans who aren't Negators believe that there has always been a galaxy and other planets that have been existing for millions of years. In this section, we're also introduced to the most coolest creatures in Undead Unluck, and they only got a few pages to shine, but they're still pretty badass with the design that they got. The Arcs are aliens who obviously want to invade Earth, even though UMA Galaxy was just born minutes ago. The arcs don't have a clue that they just appeared out of nowhere, and they believe that they have millions of years of history. The leader of the arcs tells Juice, and Juice being the head of the Union team, the arcs want to invade Earth due to finding a new home. Juice being the negator on justice finally shows that her ability can be super strong. She takes off the helmet and we see this woman who's the leader of the Union, and this is Juice without her helmet, and she's really gorgeous. With her power, she explodes all of the Ark's ships, making them fear Earth and the humans. According to the manga, that is the first and last time Earth will ever be in contact with aliens. So the Unrepair Arc begins, and this arc is where we are introduced to many more Negators, and Unrepair himself. His name is Rip, and later on we get to know his backstory, but that's not till the next arc. In this arc, the story takes place in Rio. Jui sends Tatiana, Andy, and Fuko to infiltrate the cruise party, where rich people and mostly people from the mafia meet up and do bids on owning UMAs and selling Negators to work for them. And here we see how cruel humans can be towards Negators and the weak UMAs. And seeing the mistreatment scares Fuko as Andy tells her to ignore whatever she hears at that place. Meanwhile, this is where we're introduced to Rip and his partner Latla. Both Negators, with Rip being Unrepair. We don't know Latla's negation yet. Along with them, we meet Fang, who will be a central character later on in the story, and Creed. All four Negators also trying to get Unmove, who turns out to be a young kid who is still in high school. He's a little shy and isn't confident yet on using his powers, but with Rip and his gang and then the Union squad fighting over who gets Unmoved to join them, Fuko gets lightly stabbed, making Andy to want to take out his card and freaking release Victor and go mayhem because of what happened. In this part of the story, we also get to see how much of a villain Rip can be. In other future parts of the story, he's going to be sort of a neutral character with his own motives. He can either be good or bad. The volume ends where Tatiana is fighting off Creed and Fang, and we don't know what she looks like yet, but the volume ends where Tatiana's armor is breaking down and ends in a cliffhanger. I just love how this volume ends at such an important moment where like an other character is being revealed. Like overall, this volume is truly a fun experience to reread again, even though it came out like months ago, but you know, it's still fun to read. I really love this volume because it's where the story is really being like introduced to you with many more Negators and their abilities, because there's some mangas that have like really simple power systems that like aren't really complex. To me, mangas like that just sound very generic, and it makes me not want to read them anymore. That's all with volume 3. Volume 4 is the conclusion of this arc, and then it starts to get really good. Well guys, thank you all for watching this video. Again, like, comment, and sub, and I'm very happy to be back on YouTube making more videos. Thank you.